wrecking machine when I was in that band, because that's what we were. Yeah. That's what we did. Basically, what we did in these songs was just told the story, and on the record, which you have, if you're listening to each song and what the song is about.
Hey, this is Sebastian for the Metal Gods Meltdown, and today I am joined by
David Shankle. Hail to all my fans. Thank you for having me here, brother. I appreciate it.
Love it. Fantastic to be speaking today. I've been listening to Icon of the Accursed. It's amazing. It dives straight into humanity's darkest chapters. What was the moment you guys realized that Icon of the Accursed needed to be more than just a metal record? It's a reckoning.
Well, if you're familiar with the first GraveReign record, Destination Aftermath, that was more about world domination, destruction of the planet, what would be left if anything survived. And Tony and I worked together so well, and our stuff, we're more of a concept band, story band that we write music about. So that record we put out ourselves on our own. It did very, very well for us. And people asked, why don't you have vinyl? Well, our songs are too long. So we just could not do vinyl. Yeah. So when we started talking about the next record, I had suggested to Tony, I said, look, if we want to stay the flip side of Destination Aftermath, let's talk about something other than, and trust me when I say this, nobody take this wrong, Dungeons, Dragons, and that, and I do music like that. Many of us do, and I like a lot of bands that do. I said, let's do something that's about real world things that have happened with real people. Genghis Khan, he was really a person, and what he did and how he lived. Jack the Ripper, they never caught the guy. Our first lyric video is Jack the Ripper, which is about him, the actual letter that he wrote, or they think the newspaper people could have done it at that time to get more value out of it, but they never caught him. We got a song on there, Dahmer, Escapes from the Oxford Apartments. All these people were real people that did horrible things, and most of them were caught. Some of them were not. Now, believe it or not, we're getting really good reviews on the record, and people are finding the topic, why we did that, because it really happened. This is reality. All we did was, when you've seen so many movies or TV movies or documentaries about these serial killers or psychos or whatever, all we did was take that and put it in music I wrote, and Tony and I would read, we would investigate the story, and Tony's really good at storyboarding things with me, and then we turn them into songs. It's just a lot of our songs are 6-7 minutes long because we got a lot to say in these songs and do the best we can to get them in. So that's why we decided to do this record, and we're already storyboarding the third one. But that's what this is about. And on every one of these records at the end, I put a classical guitar piece on. Shows a bit different flavor of my guitar playing style.
Cool. So yeah, the end of it gives you a bit of a chill, doesn't it, after listening? Yeah. And I mean,
yeah, let's bring them down a little bit now that we just hit you with everything we got. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, what actually drew you then to these real world monsters? Because was it just the fact that it is real, and like you said, you didn't want to go down the Dungeons and Dragons so much? Yeah. But it must be quite hard to avoid glorifying these people rather than capturing their horror.
Well,
armor.
Basically, what we did in these songs was just told the story, and on the record, which you have, if you're listening to each song and what the song is about, whether it's Jack the Ripper, Dahmer, Oxford, any of them, there's actual newscast people that we were able to get from that time speaking on what they did. So we're not trying to glorify these actual murderers. All we're doing is, do you want to go home after a day's work and turn on Hallmark or something and watch about Dahmer or anybody, or see it in a documentary? Hey, here it is in a record for us, telling it our story with brutal, powerful, epic music behind it. That's the only difference. They do it in TV shows and documentaries. We do it in music. So that's just our way of telling our side of the story. Now, well, there may be some people out there, church people, that'll be, oh, that's just awful that you did that. I don't care. You know what I mean? It does. This is a story of real things that have happened. If somebody's offended, we never did it to offend them or anybody. It's just a way of us talking about these people in our music, and I think we pulled it off pretty well. You know.
Well, you know why I've asked that question, because like back in the 80s and that, it was about all the record labels and all that shit, wasn't it? And D. Schneider and everything. Courts. I remember it well. And like now, it's become to woke overload in the world, and you can't do or say anything without people getting fucking offended. So that's why I asked that question.
Exactly. And I'm glad you did, because when Tom at FireRock Music Group, our label, when we released Jack the Ripper, Tony investigated, my singer, he investigated the actual letter and the story of Jack the Ripper. And I said, well, when we do the lyric video, let's get it all in the setting and how he would be dressed back in 1888 in the World's Fair and the Whitechapel Street. Believe it or not, when FireRock released it, it was about 3 days later, and YouTube came to him saying we were getting a hold on it in certain countries overseas because our write-up that we put in the description was talking a story about Jack the Ripper and when it happened, and they said that would be too offensive for readers. Look, people are reading a lyric video. How many people necessarily always read the description way underneath? So he's been working on getting that released, but I mean, it's doing well. It's out there, and it's like, it just goes to show you how this AI and these filters will catch stuff and stop something that was not offending anybody at all from something from that long ago. But you know, it is what it is. How many bands out there is doing music with AI and you don't even know if they're a band? You know, in another 5 years or less, there's going to be who's a real musician, who's not with all this AI stuff. It's out of control. Cool. There's good AI, and then it can be abused.
Of course. But do you not find, just going on the AI discussion a little bit, do you not find that if you've ever used it or to write a letter or something, and then my brain's telling me, well, that's not right, I'm getting lazy, I would stop using it because you're getting lazy and you're not educating yourself. If you let machines do everything for you, you're all going to be walking around like zombies, and it's ridiculous. And I agree about the music
side. If you're not writing and composing and recording the music yourself, what do you do when it goes, it's time for band rehearsal? And you got one or two guys that go, oh, I don't know, we just created this music. We're not even a band. Yeah, that's what's happening. Yeah, you know, people can take it however they want it. I don't.
No, I don't either. I don't agree with it. Or saying that, or Spotify don't really agree with streaming too much either. I like to have the physical things in my hand, like a vinyl, whatever. But yeah. So, but get back to the album. So I love the solo, right? Especially in Unit 731. My cat didn't appreciate that, though.
Oh, yeah.
There's cats.
It frightened the cat. Okay. Too much evil shred?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay.
So what about, it doesn't come out till like mid-July. Do you still get a little bit anxious or impatient waiting for an album release? And have you got anything special planned?
I don't think the anxiousness happens until any band I'm in, but with me and Tony, because you know we're just miles away from each other and we work so well together, we make sure every stone is unturned and we've done everything there is to the song and everything is just the way we want it. And then it's really the process, as you know. Who's putting the record out? What's the timeline you got? Are they printing the CDs and vinyl? Are we doing it? Is it a 50-50? And then lining up press and interviews, and then special box set stuff we have in pre-sales where people can pay and get t-shirts, flash drive, all the videos we've done, all the records for GraveReign. That generates income for the band, and then what we're going to use for stage as the band starts to get rehearsing. I think that's when all that starts to kick in, and you go, hey, this is real. Yeah. This is getting really real now. Now that we've spent this time doing the record in the studio, now we're getting ready to move into band rehearsals and bring not one record, but both records to life. You know, and I brought in my good friend Jack Lazar from Hammer On. We all grew up together in the Chicago scene, and he's playing rhythm guitar and doing vocals. And Michael Ray, my sister's husband, he's playing drums. And we're bringing them in just because in the studio I played everything. Okay, right. Tony writes the lyrics, we work on melodies, but to bring this monster project to life, you know, as Wake Up the Dragon, okay, I'll give you that much. Yeah. We wanted to bring in some extra guys, and these guys are best of friends, and they're fantastic musicians. So they're all adding what they have to what Tony and I have done to bring this. And Mick Lucid, he's our bass player. He played on both records. So he's there, the beast of bass. So everybody's got their part, and bringing Jack and Mike in just gives it that extra element live with the stuff that we've done on the record. And we're all excited to start rehearsals real soon so we can get the band playing out and, you know, doing our thing, running up a flagpole and see who salutes it, you know?
Absolutely. And the tour, have you got a tour already arranged? And are there hopes to get over to the UK, into Europe even? Oh,
I saw the cat run. He must have knew you were talking to me. Yeah. That's that evil shredder. I'm out of here. Right now, to answer your question, there is possibilities for some fly-in festivals that I know Tom is working on from FireRock Group. Wonderful people, wonderful label. They have been nothing but fantastic from day one, who works with my manager, John Pettigras, who has been by my side since the day I stepped in Manowar, my entire time, and after all of my DSG records, Devilland, everything I've done, Fëanor, he's by my side. So we're looking at possibly some fly-in shows, but getting the band out around the states, not just Illinois or Milwaukee, other states to play. And then we'll see where that goes as the band is becoming a well-oiled machine, and take it as far as we can get it with the way things are, with traveling and promoters and who's paying, who's not. You know the drill. We don't need to go through a dictionary.
No.
But absolutely. The band and the connections we have to play nice big shows and play with other national acts, you know, that's where we're heading to go, because I don't know about what's going on over there, but over here, it is a lot of tribute bands and cover bands. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Some are better than others, and I know a lot of cats that play in these bands that are really good and fantastic musicians, and people like to go sing the songs they grew up on. Hey, I don't mind that every now and then too, but it's really taken over the scene, and original bands, even if there's a cover song or two that's been on our last record, and we did a version, believe it or not, that's going to be out later, just for promotion, of Back in Black, AC/DC. Okay. But our version is much darker, heavier, and we got monster choirs and orchestrals in here and all that. So that's going to come out a little bit later, and I'm letting that out now, but it's not on the record, but it's just going to be a side promotional thing. And so we're excited about that, but we're an all original band. And I was in Veilside with Tony for a while, which was his main band. And when we do shows, we've got all the Veilside records, their t-shirt. We've got everything DSG, David Shankle Group, my records, FireRock Records, GraveReign, stickers, t-shirts, buttons, because swag is a really big thing at shows. And also, if there's certain t-shirts we're going to put out, like probably going to do Fafnir the Dragon, which is on my 7-string guitar from Viper, you can only buy that at the show. You won't be able to get that online. And like Genghis Khan, he's one of our songs on the new record.
Yeah.
You can only get that t-shirt at the show. That way, not everything can be online. And we see how that goes for a while. And it helps bring people in that really like the band. And, you know, there's the people that go, I want one of everything. Yeah, well, you got to come to the show to get that. So we'll see how it goes. And we're excited to start rehearsals and get things jamming. And I do a lot of guest solo work. I'm on 35 guest solo CDs right now and more coming.
Wow.
And I just did a solo for the band, The Cross, a Brazilian death metal band, a doom band. And I might be going over to Brazil later this year to perform with them for some festivals. And there's some calls coming in from management for some bands there that want to bring me over to do like a whole Manowar set. So those are all in details while we start rehearsing GraveReign and take my hometown band, me and Tony, with our brothers of metal in it, and get it out and start melting some faces, you know?
Love it. Love it. I love the enthusiasm and everything. You've still got that. And so many musicians our age, a little bit older, still have that. And I love that. I love that, man.
That's cool. And it's people like you that love to do these interviews and support all metal bands that you like and you want to help out, that this is still out there, because you know, you got to know who you know to do it, or it's just not like what it used to be. So thank you for being you.
Thank you, mate. That means a lot. That really does.
Yes.
So what I got to ask you then is, going back to like when you first started in metal back in the day and how you are now, are you glad you started back then rather than in today's AI world and everything? Are you glad you did it when you did and are still doing it?
Yeah, because back then there was no AI. You couldn't turn left or turn right. You're either a band and you're a real musician that can write, record, and play and do your stuff. There was no AI trickery. That's how I grew up. You know, my father was a musician. He played, he did stuff with Roy Clark. He put a guitar in my hand when I was 8 years old. I played it for a week and said, I think I want to be Evel Knievel. My mother said, no, you'll live longer, play the guitar. That changed my life when I was 12 years old, and the bug bit me then. And I never stopped. And I always was, as a young man, thanks to my dad, watch all these other guitar players, because when you're young, you're influenced by somebody. We all are. We all play and learn from each other. So I've learned what I could from this guy, that guy, this guy, and then all these, you know, remember the beta instructional tapes, the VHS tapes? I was still young, practicing, studying music out of books, because there was no YouTube then.
No.
You know, and you could go to YouTube, and I'm a music teacher by trade. Me and my girlfriend, we run Milwaukee Music Academy. You can't stop that video on YouTube and ask that guy a question. I'm not saying you can't learn anything from YouTube, but you need a teacher in the room or lessons live over Zoom that could show you right from wrong and sit with you and help you. This is a very different time than it was when I was 15, 18, 21 years old, being a bar star in the bands I grew up in, like Vengeance and Paradox. You know, that was a very different thing, and then went on to Manowar. So I'm thankful for that, because I see, to answer your question at the end, the good in AI and the bad and the way AI is being abused musically. But then again, there's people that would argue and go, well, if you do it like this and that, I don't care. I don't care. You know, if you're doing artwork or something, that's great. There's bands out there that'll go, play me this metal in this style, and it'll come up with a riff with lyrics, version, a guy singing or a girl singing, and then they'll try and copy that and go, I wrote this. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
No.
You know, so and you can't change evolution and what's going on. And you know, we're down to earth. Would Black Sabbath have done that?
No.
When Ozzy Osbourne had done that, God rest his soul, Uriah Heep, Deep Purple, I don't think so. These are the bands I grew up on.
Yeah.
Yes, and that kind of stuff. There was no AI, you know.
Of course not.
So that's the best I can answer that. I'm not talking it down. I'm saying when it's used correctly for other things, it's wonderful. But when I see it used for somebody to go, we wrote this and it's a 12-minute long epic battle, and it's like you're one guy and you don't even have a band. Can I swear on here?
Yeah, of course you
Okay,
can.
who
Yeah.
the fuck are you kidding trying to tell me that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it is what it is. I don't condemn it. I just, if it's used properly, that's where I come from. Other than that, okay. And you got to roll with the changes, but I don't roll that way with it.
No, of course.
All hard work and coming from your heart and soul and your music, the way we record back in the Manowar days, even with Ross, God rest his soul. He was a friend of mine before I was in the band and during the time after. We wrote our music and we played it. So when we played live, we were warriors and can do it, not some machine doing it for us.
Exactly.
So there's the best I can answer that, buddy.
Okay. Back to the album with its characters, real life assassins, murderers, and everything else in between. What would you say then that evil looks like today in the modern world, and how does it differ from historical horrors that you've written about?
In my opinion, I don't think what's changed is not much underneath the curtain, underneath the blanket. It's the same and worse. It just has a different facelift. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could, whether it's politics, people, that you could say evil stuff, president stuff, not going there, you know, business stuff. It's all has its good and bad and hidden evil. It's out there everywhere. It just has a different face, a different image from 50 years ago or 100 years ago. It's always been there. It's just a different look. If you can detect it, or you know what it is, or you can tell what's going on, that's all in your belief. You know, as far as the album goes, we just said, well, there's been everything else done on television, documentaries, news, when it really happened. And we just took it and said, look, man, we're going to put it to some ferocious music and tell our side of the story. And people that like it, salute it. People that don't, that's okay. Maybe they like the first record better, or they love both, or they like this one. Again, Tony and I did not do this to offend anybody. We're just telling a story, you know, and that's the way that goes. And it's like, you know, there was an old saying when I was in Manowar that Joey and I used to say when I first was in the band and we toured. And it would be, if you've never seen the band before, come see the band. Check us out. If you like us, get a t-shirt, come talk to us, get an autograph, take a picture, whatever. If you don't like the band, don't come again. There's somebody else that will come and see the band. Whether I'm here in the States or I fly overseas, you can't please everybody. So like I said at the beginning of the interview, somebody might be, well, why would they write songs about Dahmer and this and that? And we kept the Reich out of it, Hitler. We kept that out of it. And we wrote about the characters that we wanted to. And again, it's just us telling a story as a band on stuff that's already been out there for years. So that's what I got to say about that. And nobody's come at us yet and said that. It doesn't mean they won't. And when they do, I just go like this. Next. We don't have time for that bullshit.
Exactly.
You either get what the album's about and what we're singing about it. If you don't, then go educate yourself then.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. All right. So we are going to go into Manowar. When you joined Manowar, now back in the day, I remember it was a big thing in Kerrang before Kerrang became what it is today. Anyway, and Manowar was starting to get big, and they signed their record contract in blood, and it was a big thing. It was like, oh, they did what and everything. Can you imagine that today? It'd be nothing. But back
Right.
then, it was a big thing. So when you joined Manowar, did you have to sign anything in your blood?
No, I did not have to sign in blood. How that happened, to make a long story real short, I was playing in a band, Vengeance, in Chicago at a club called the Thirsty Whale. At the time, not knowing, Ross was already out of the band at the moment. Joey and Eric and Scott Columbus came to see me play because they knew a friend of mine, Mary Beth, and told them, you need to come see Dave. They've been talking to other guitar players, and we were playing 2 nights in a row. And I got to meet them. You know, they came back in the dressing room, then we went out and had a few drinks and talked, and they stood there and watched me, and Eric Adams came on the side of the stage and watched. They came back the next day, and then Joey and I and all exchanged phone numbers, and he called me one day and said, come on down to Chicago. You know, I'm staying at the Canterbury Court. Come see the studio. We're mixing. And this was Universal at the time. And we started hanging out, getting along great. And then I would drive back 2, 3 in the morning and have to be at work at like 8. But I was having fun doing my thing. And one day he called me up on the phone and said, grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and I want you to write this down. I said, okay. He says, that which does not kill me will only make you stronger. Welcome to Manowar. You're the new lead guitar player. Sold my car, got rid of a bunch of stuff. We had a big party at the house, and off I went. And before we were even touring, even though Ross played on the Kings of Metal, we were already writing the Triumph of Steel, but rehearsing Kings of Metal and some of the other albums from Battle Hymns and etc. and touring with that, which was bringing me out as the new guitar player. And I'm happy to say, even to this day, out of all the Manowar records that they've done, people like this, like that, like what you like, it's all good. That album went gold and platinum for me and Joey and the band, and is still one of the most selling records to this date, and the first Manowar record of any of them that went gold. And there was already 6 records before I joined that band. So what does that tell you? And I'll leave it at that.
Exactly. Well, it's
I love all the records that they've done, and every guitar player that's been in the band after me, I'm friends with, and I know, and have had, you know, relations with. I mean, me and Michelangelo Badio, I played on one of his records. He played on 2 of mine long before he was ever in Manowar doing whatever he's doing in the band, you know what I mean? And they play some shows here and there still. So, you know, so we've all known each other as that vicious circle has kind of come around. So, hey, good luck to everybody. And there you go, you know?
Absolutely. All right. And so it is still a monster. And what moment from that era then shaped you the most to be who you are today?
What it did was, I will always thank Joey and Eric for putting me in that band, because it helped put me on the map for people to be, this guy's a super shred guitar hero here. What I mean by that is Manowar had 6 records. Ross started that band. He helped put that band on the map and, you know, put his stamp, like it worked for me, in the metal history. And he and I and that band, you could go to Barnes and Noble bookstores and find metal history books, and there's pictures of us with, you know, all metal history, and I'm proud of that. And I thank Joey and Eric for putting me in that band. But I brought Rhino into the band when Scott wasn't doing well and he was out. And I remember doing shows and people coming up going, you and Rhino are like a whole new breed that's in Manowar. Well, we were younger. We came from, you know, different styles of bands that we grew up with, and we brought that into the Triumph of Steel as much as we could. The first song I wrote for that, rhythmically, I never did any of the lyrics, Joey did, was Ride the Dragon.
Right.
And now with Wings of Destiny on the EP, we redid that, called Ride the Dragon, and we redid Master of the Winds on a whole more higher scale than we did in 1992. But I thank them for putting me in the band. I learned a lot. I traveled the world 3 times, met a lot of wonderful people, played with a lot of fantastic bands, and met a lot of great musicians. And I have those memories and pictures and photos and videos out there of my time with the band, cemented in that band, that not even God could change if he wanted to. No offense. And I'm proud of that. But I moved on, and when that first DSG record, Ashes to Ashes, came out, I really had my chance without anybody in my way, my friend, telling me, play this, play that, do this, do that. Showed everybody in the shred world what I was really made of. And everybody was like, he doesn't even sound like he did in Manowar. Listen to Ashes and these other songs. And Joey and I were still friends because he helped me put the first 2 DSG records out, Ashes to Ashes. He came in and paid with me to do the video, Ashes and Calling All Heroes, which was for all the heroes of 9/11 and many other heroes. And then we did Hellborn. He flew my band over to do the Magic Circle Fest in 2007. Then when I did the 3rd record, Still a Warrior, he was going through some legal things and I was heading another way. And my contracts were done and we went off to a different label, but we've always communicated here and there, and there's no bad blood. We're still brothers of metal, whether we're in the band or not. And that's the best I can say. But after that, I went on and doing what I do to prove, what I can do as my writer. And I'm happy about it. You do what you do and it's all good, So that's how I can answer that question for you.
What's the secret behind your precision then? After all these years, you still got it. Is it discipline, obsession, or something a little bit darker?
Great question. Even since I was a child, back in the day with Hit Parade magazines, Guitar Player, remember that? Okay, we won't talk our age. I used to have my bedroom walls plastered with pictures that you could pull out of the magazine, and always dreamed of wanting to do what I do. So as I started to move along and gain some success and notoriety, all my gold records, pictures with Manowar, all other bands I've been in with other artists, in my studio room. I just moved into a new house, so I haven't got everything unpacked now. But on my Facebook pages and albums is pictures of what I've done, where I've been, what I'm doing now, and where I'm still going. And it's my musical studio, my man cave. So no matter what I've been through, what operations, how many bands, people that still talk about me and my day in Manowar like they would anybody else in Ross, okay, which is wonderful. It keeps giving me that push to go. Even when I may feel down and out for anything in life, I look at the stuff on my wall, my signature hot sauce, all my signature Viper guitars, the companies like Fractal Audio, EMG pickups, Kaler Tremolo, Ernie Ball strings that have been with me for 18, 20 years, gives me that. Look at all these albums you've done, 32 guest solo CDs, all these records. It just gives me that, let's go again. Let's do another one. Because what I do is that, and I'm a teacher. People want lessons, get a hold of me on my main David Shankle Facebook page. Reach out to me. I get you hooked up. And that's what keeps me going and trying to live good and let the music breathe through me, because it's that, my life, my girlfriend, my music, my family, and what I love to do. And hopefully when my time comes to pass, that people will still watch the stuff and remember me for what I had to offer to the music world in my style, my way. My way. And I thank everybody that helped get me here. But I learned a long time ago after Manowar and doing the things I do, all the experiences of Manowar and everything I learned and the people I met, and moved on, and you're growing up and getting older. And I was very young when I was in that band. I think I was 27, 28 years old when they found me. And I was just a wrecking machine when I was in that band, because that's what we were. That's what we did. Was I learned through all my ups and downs after the band. I was married, divorced, was married 24 years, divorced. and, had many operations and stuff. I just learned to be true to yourself, strong to yourself, love the people that are your friends and your fans and your family. And when there's a problem, try and fix it. Arguing about it doesn't really do anything. But I learned after many things, I do what I want, when I want, where I want, how I want, and with whom I want. And I demand excellence in my music and push people to their limits, like I've done with Tony on the first record and the second record. And he'll push me and go, no, do that solo longer. It's okay. And so it'll be like, okay, and throwing ideas by each other. And that's the way I roll. And I respect everybody else's boundaries, and I don't let anybody in my world unless I choose to.
Yeah.
And I don't let myself get drawn into debates on, well, what do you think about this guitar player or that? Do you think you're as fast as them or that? What are you, 12? Okay. I leave it like this, bro.
Yeah.
People like who you like for whatever reason you want. That's okay. Everybody's got opinions. Doesn't mean your opinion's always right. It's right to you. But there might be 100 other people that'll say, no, you're not. And I'll get in your face and tell you why. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. That's why I said I do what I do, and my fans around the world, and I do it with the people that I enjoy playing with. And all of them I'm still friends with. It's just things change. If we got a little bit of time, here's a story. I can't remember who he was that said this, but I think it was the actor, the Perry guy, the black gentleman that does stuff. He's got a whole 10 football fields he built his own studio on for acting and stuff. He said something when he won an award that really stuck to me. That he said, look at things with people, relationships that are like booster rockets. Those are on the rocket that they boost you up in the air to get you in the atmosphere, and then they blow off. Some people only come into your life for a season. Some people are there for a couple of years. And when those booster rockets fly off and that spaceship keeps going, it doesn't mean those rockets were bad or those people are bad. They're just not meant to go where you're going. Where that's going. And that's no offense to anybody. They've done their job. Yeah. They break off and it keeps going where it needs to go. And when he said it, he brought it in relationships, music, bands, school, whatever you're doing. There's a certain limit that people are with you, and then not that you're not friends, but you just don't see them anymore, like if it was a lifelong friend. And that made a lot of sense. Some people come into your life for only a season, some a little longer, and they're not always meant to go where you're going, and it don't mean anything bad. It's just the way it is. There you go.
I can agree more, man. Love it. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
You got it, brother.
I've got loads more questions to ask you, but I realise the time's getting on. So I'm going to ask you now then, just one final question, right? So if there was a made-up song, a total made-up song about your personality, what would it be called?
Well, there's a friend of mine named Phil Simmons that did a song for me, and it's on my YouTube channel, and he wrote the lyrics and everything about me. That's a Shred the Sky, and it's his way, and it's on YouTube. It's on my channel. It's Shred the Sky of his interpretation of what he's singing about with my playing, my shredding, my songwriting, and what I do. And that's his inversion. It's hard to say what would a song be about yourself, except for somebody that would really know me knows I'm an intense person. I'm always on 10. That's the way I write, compose, but I also play classical guitar. I'm very versatile in my playing and composing, and I have a heart like everybody else does, but I write what I write. I compose my solos to the rhythms that it's telling me to the song. And I don't want to humble myself and say, well, it would be about this and that. I think to answer your question, it's best let somebody else that can look at you or me, that knows me and my life, my musical history, everything I've been through, to say, this is why my fans named me David Shred Demon Shankle. And the proof is in my playing, it's in my songwriting, my composing, my stage presence, because I'm just a wrecking machine and a battle axe coming to you on stage, because I'm delivering the goods with the power of your stage presence to the music that we play. That's always been the thing, the 3 A's: attitude, aggressiveness, and appearance. Knock them over, melt their faces, give them everything you got. That's my personality. That's kind of what I do, bro. Now, whether people like that or not, okay, don't matter. It is what it is, you know?
Amazing, man. Amazing. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time, and the album is amazing.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we will catch you again over in the UK, Europe sometime. Do you have any final words then for your fans, our viewers, and listeners?
I would like to say to all my fans and my Manowar fans for loving me, staying with me the entire time with Manowar and after, and all of us that loved Ross, and God bless his soul, and all the other music that I'm doing with all my bands. And hopefully you're all digging the new GraveReign record and more videos to come and shows. Thank you so much for sticking by me and everything I've done, because without you, this would be meaningless.